Hello, this is Bree. Welcome to my home. Today is another very exciting day. A friend of mine is coming today and he is actually going to use his BCS tiller to till my garden that's already been tilled once into raised beds. Very exciting stuff. That would take me forever to do with a rake. I've done it plenty of times before, so I know how much work goes into that, and it is astronomical amounts of work. Hi, did you wake up? I feel like I've already had a full day. I've driven to the city and back, gotten a ton of kids ready for homeschool things, made lunches, fed breakfasts, and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning. It is an all hands on deck kind of day. It's one of our busier days. Actually, I think it is our busiest day. What are you doing? You ready to get out of the car? Do you want to stay in the car? So anyway, I'm really excited that he's gonna come do this. I think he might even teach me. Can you get him out and I'll get her out? He may even teach me how to do it, and I would love to learn. I think it'd be super fun. Where did you get lipstick? Oh, spit that out. Who gave you lipstick? Anyway, it is one of those days where
what does the cow say?
All the grandparents are involved in the hauling and picking up of children today because everyone has to be places all at the same time. Oh, come here. The main thing is the next step of the garden is happening today, which means that then we can move on to putting compost on the beds and planting. It's so exciting. So one thing about today is that I'm gone until at least 5:30, almost 6, and we usually eat dinner around 5:30, and I have to edit tonight. So I've got to be super proactive on meals. I'm actually, while I have a minute, gonna go ahead and start supper and even get that totally made before I have to leave again this afternoon. All right, so I have a meal plan. I was just sitting here trying to decide if what I have on my meal plan is gonna work for reheating later today. And I think it will. We could either, so the way I do my meal plan is I just make a list of meals I could make this week out of the ingredients that I have and also things that need to be used up. I don't put it on a specific day. I don't make it super strict. I don't even have to use the things if I choose not to. But what I'm thinking would work for tonight would be any of them. I could go ahead and make the egg roll in a bowl and rice and then just warm it up when we get home. And I think that would be the easiest thing. The other thing is like burritos, we could have those. I could just go ahead and make the meat and cut up the veggies and then pull it out when we get back. The babies are snacking on some blueberries. Is that delicious? Yummy. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is make a big pot of egg roll in a bowl because the people that are here will be hungry for lunch in the next hour and a half. So, will this pot be big enough for 2 meals? I don't think so. I'm gonna have to pull out the big guns. What I really need is like an intermediate pot, like not a small pot, but not my biggest pots. But I haven't found one that I like. This is my smallest big pot, so we'll use this one. I don't even know how many quarts it is. I wouldn't know how to tell you guys. I don't know. All right. Okay, he's here. So exciting. It's like all my dreams are coming true because making these garden beds myself would be epically difficult. Okay. What John and I were just talking about is how wide and long the beds are going to be, and one thing we were discussing was I'm going to have like a, where is it at? There's going to be a 4-foot path right down the middle of the garden, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, access to all the beds. 2, my beds are going horizontal on the hill, and he was saying that this would allow for water to drain down and not erode my beds, and also not leave like standing water between beds and puddles and stuff. We did discuss putting the beds vertically on the hill, but with putting the pathway down the middle of the garden, it eliminates the need for the beds to run vertically, if that makes sense. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have approximately 3-foot beds and 2-foot paths and a 4-foot path down the middle. And I'm very excited about it. John has done this a lot. So I'm really excited to have someone that is way better than me helping me out today. So y'all remember in the last video, there was another person here with the same tiller, a BCS, but he didn't have the attachment to kick everything up into beds. And so that's when John offered to come over and make these raised garden beds, not just in the ground planting, but they're a little bit raised up for a lot of reasons, which we can talk about in a minute. So you want to tell us what this attachment is?
Yeah, so this is called a rotary plow, and it effectively just plows, but in kind of a rotating motion. And so everything, they have various options. They have another one that actually can do either side, but this one only does the one side, and it's fine. You just basically, you know, hit it to the right going down, or going up, and then hit it to the left going down. So
oh, that's really cool.
it'll work fine. And yeah, the benefits of the raised beds are tremendous. And what I use this for is just establishing beds. And then once the beds are established, you can then move into a no-till rotation. And you know, there's a lot of benefits to that as well.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the benefits of raised beds? I bet you'll say it much more clearly than I would.
Yeah, I mean, one is that you have kind of an established walkway, and so it makes it real clear, especially when you have kids, that like this is where you walk and this is where the gardens are. It also allows the garden beds themselves to effectively, like, because they're raised and because you're not clearly walking on them, you're gonna eliminate the possibility of having compaction. And compaction, the ability for the beds to drain, the ability for the actual garden beds themselves to just function. It's ergonomical. It's from a market gardening standpoint, from a home garden standpoint, from a homesteading standpoint. Like, I'm just a firm believer that using raised beds, you know, you just kind of create a system in which you then can just continue forward for quite some time. Mm-hmm. It's establishing your garden beds.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with him with all of that, and I would even say, to add on to it, that the establishment of those beds creates an efficient system. And I've told you guys, like, my garden is a gracious friend. I don't have to suck as much efficiency out of her as a market gardener, but having an organized, efficient system will make everything easier. I have a lot going on and I want a productive garden. So this will make that a lot easier, and it'll make it beautiful and organized and tidy and clear for the kids, all the things that he said.
So one other thing that I was just thinking about is, in the past I've used wood chips a lot. Now, Bree hadn't decided if that's what she wants to do on these beds, but when you're using the raised beds, what's cool is that if you do use the wood chips, it allows the wood chips to be completely distinct to where your actual plants are growing. And so on the top of your beds, that's where you would put your weed-free compost. On the sides of your bed, that's where you would put the wood chips. And with your raised beds, the wood chips are going to actually hold the beds up. It's going to allow the beds to not, because the wood chips, they'll actually form kind of a mycorrhizal network. And so you'll have mycelium that is going to, you'll see this white fungus underneath the wood chips. That's actually binding the wood chips together, and that's going to allow the beds to actually be firmly stationary. And when the water hits it from the rain, it's going to slow down the process of it actually wanting to erode and kind of degrade. I can't say it, degrade. You know what?
Degradate?
Degradate. The actual kind of form itself. And so there's a lot of benefits to wood chips, but the most important thing if you're going to use wood chips is to never allow those wood chips to be incorporated into the actual soil, or you're going to tie up your nitrogen and you'll have nitrogen deficiencies. And so if you use the raised beds when you're using wood chips, it really minimizes the likelihood of that happening.
That's a really good point. I think a lot of times when people think of raised beds, they think of a structure, kind of like that wooden structure in the middle of my yard, filled with soil, and then that's a raised bed. And it is. Those are astronomically expensive to buy, to put together, to fill with soil, and they also don't retain water well, so there's a lot more upkeep, I feel like, with them in some ways. So this is a different kind of raised bed system. than this system here, which is mostly, I think, what home gardeners think of when they think of raised beds. They think of these wooden or metal kind of platforms that you fill with soil, and that's what you grow out of. So this is not that. This is a much more efficient, cost-effective way. And the cool thing is that I'm actually, so many people will ask me, I'm sure, why aren't you doing a no-till system? I am doing a no-till system, but I'm tilling first. And the reason for that is, to start with a no-till system, I needed to start 6 months ago or even longer. This gives me a garden immediately this spring. But once these beds are established, if I take care of them, I don't have to till them again. Probably ever, but I mean, who knows? Depends on how well I care for them. It's so fun having someone that's passionate and knowledgeable about gardening here to talk to about gardening. I think a lot of times in life we want to be purists and idealists when we're first coming into a project or a new passion. But it's interesting that as you live out what it takes to do something, you find that there is a lot of gray area. There's a lot of wiggle room. There's a lot of way to do things. So I'm only saying this because I want to encourage you guys that you don't have to adhere to a strict way of raising your garden. Just like we all have different ways that we parent, raise our children, use our finances, grocery shop, meal plan. It's the same way with the garden. There is so much freedom to do what works best for you and what is going to bring you joy and actually get you out into your gardening. I don't think I have the energy to make a whole bunch of food today. But I have chili, and I have chips. I have chili frozen, and I have chips, and I have sour cream, and I have limes, and I have cilantro, and I have shredded cheese. That's what we're gonna do for dinner. And for lunch, we will have sandwiches. I think it's really good to check in with yourself if you're getting super stressed or anxious about something, and like decide if you really need to push through that or if you really can pivot and go another direction. And today I'm pivoting because what I realized is that I have to leave again pretty soon here. He may need my help in a minute. The babies are super fussy. And pushing through right now would cause me an immense amount of stress to make these 2 meals. And I'd probably go ahead and make extra because probably make it into 4 meals, but still, I don't want to do that. What I'd rather do is make a hot pot of coffee because I didn't get to drink any coffee this morning, and make a freezer meal tonight. So that's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be awesome. Another benefit of freezer meals. You can just take a break sometimes. John just finished up, you guys. This is so beautiful. It took him an hour and a half what would have taken me countless hours. Let me show you from this perspective how beautiful it is. Let me see if you can see. There you go. You can kind of see the difference there. You can see the hills. I feel like I'm Scarlett O'Hara talking about Tara. Red clay dirt. This is the next morning. We are having breakfast. Some of our breakfast burritos that I made a couple weeks ago and froze, and strawberries and fruit and tea. And we are getting ready to go outside and put compost on, come here, and put compost on our garden beds. And then we have to make a big trip. We'll probably just get 1 bed done, maybe 2. We're gonna do it during the baby's nap time, so I don't have to chase them around the yard. But we're all gonna work together, anyone who doesn't have school to do, and then we are headed out of town to go to one of my favorite greenhouses to get a bunch of seeds that I can plant right now. So that's why I want to get these beds set up, because hopefully in the next few days or week I will get these seeds planted. Okay, babies are down for naps, and it is really chilly out here, surprisingly. Where are my shoes? I don't see any children either. The question is always, the house is super quiet. I don't see the kids outside. Do I? Where are my shoes? Do I interrupt their happy, quiet playing together to make them come help me with this job? Or do I just let them work in peace, or play in peace? The answer is play in peace. Kids fuss and bicker enough that when they're playing really, really well, I just let them continue because it will end soon enough. And then, whew, and then they can come outside and help me. Okay, you guys ready? We're gonna get at least one bed done, or I'm hoping I can get one bed done, that's all. A little bit every day. Today we're gonna put compost and flatten out one bed and cover half the garden. Oh, just walking around the yard trying to find my tools. You honestly just have to laugh at the shenanigans of children or you will lose your mind. Let me speak for myself. I will lose my mind. I need a shovel and a rake. Hey, Jade. Oh, there's one of my shovels. It's actually where it's supposed to be. It's not where I put it, but it's where it's supposed to be. There's my rake. Okay. So, the first thing I'm gonna do is flatten out this bed so that I can even put compost on it. All right, let's go. Somebody made themselves a tasty snack and left it out here in the rain. Okay, the boys are outside. We're actually gonna stop with compost now because I have a lot to do to get ready to get out the door. As you can imagine, it takes me a long time to get us all out the door. One mistake I realized I made is I should have left the edge on this garden bed. That was a mistake because now it's right up to the grass and I could have filled in that edge with mulch and it would have kept the grass from entering into the garden. So, too late now, but I still have the other edges of the garden. I can just do it the right way. Okay, now the boys and I are actually, before we leave, gonna throw some tarps on these beds. Actual rocks? Yeah. Alright, that's good. Here, Mom. Okay, can you wait there for a second while we pull the next tarp over here on this section? Did you get rocks? What is it, Lulu? Joy, look at her face. She is enamored by something. Is this fun? Did somebody get you snackies? What's in your bucket? Crackers? Okay, a couple of things about tarping. You need at least 6 weeks with a tarp on to kill weed seeds, and really longer is ideal. So obviously, where I'm putting compost and planting, like in the next week or two, the only reason I would put tarp on is to prevent erosion and just to keep my beds nice in case like there was a big rainstorm or a big windstorm, which they're supposed to be on this weekend. However, I am going to tarp quite a bit of the garden still because it's only March. A lot of planting I can't do till mid to late May, even into June. Putting the silage tarp on may also bring some much needed worms to the garden because I have not seen a single one in that soil. And granted it was tilled, so if there were some, they were chopped up. Some of them would have been chopped up. But anyway, I want to show you this beautiful view. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am going to buy some seeds right now, so I will show you guys in a future video what I bought and what I'm planting, and we will talk all about that coming up. Thank you for joining me. See you guys real soon.